Chelsea will be making an away travel to Molineux, one of the toughest grounds that Chelsea actually play away. This is a ground that Chelsea has had some very odd odd results, with Chelsea not winning in that ground for close to 2 seasons. Now, one familiar face that will be returning back to Molineux will be Pedro Neto, as he'll be looking to make his official Premier League full debut against his former team. Now, Chelsea last season actually managed to lose 2 games to Wolves. Wolves did a double over Chelsea last season by beating Chelsea home and away. Probably, I think they are the only team that managed to beat Chelsea home and away. And this signifies that this is not an easy game for Chelsea, and Wolves will come into this game with the belief that they can actually manage to reciprocate or replicate what they did against Chelsea last season. So I'm going to try and pick a lineup that I believe Enzo Maresca may pick for this game. This is not a lineup that is of my choice, but rather it's a lineup that I think Enzo Maresca is going to pick, and I will give a brief of who I think should be picked. Now, let's move to in goal, and in goal, Robert Sanchez is more likely to retain his position. Coming from Enzo Maresca's press interview, he talked about why he wants Sanchez to be the goalkeeper for the Premier League games while Jorgensen to handle the cup games. So Sanchez is more likely to start. In the centre-back position, we are going to see the return of the centre-back partnership of Colwill and Wesley Fofana. This is now Maresca's first choice centre-back pairing. Fofana and Colwill, who did not start the game against Serviette in the midweek, will more likely be the centre-back pairing that Maresca will go with in this game, as he trusts the two of them, though I think they should iron out their defensive frailties. Fullbacks, I believe he's going to go with Malo Gusto and Marco Correa. Reece James is back in training, and I don't think if he's suspended for this game, I think he was serving 2 suspensions, so probably is not available for this game, but he's more likely to return in the next game week. So Gusto is more likely to retain his position as the right back in this game, as well as Marco Correa coming in for Renato Viega. Now in central midfield, I've gone with a double pivot of Lavia and Fernandes. This is because Moses Caicedo played on Thursday and he played close to the entire game. And because Lavia was also rested, he's more likely to play this game. And Enzo Fernandez, who's currently captaining, because Reece James is not on the pitch, is more likely to start. And I cannot play the 3 of them, so I've decided to go with Lavia and Enzo Fernandez. I've decided to place Palmer where I believe he is more deadly for Chelsea, and that is the attacking midfielder position, that number 10. Chelsea have had success, and this is where Cole Palmer managed to rack up the number of goals and assists he gave Chelsea last season. I want him to play in this free role. I don't want him to be restricted down the right, so I'm picking him as the number 10. On the wide areas, I'm going to pick Pedro Neto to start down the left wing, and Noni Madueke to come in and start down the right. Madueke came in as a sub in the last game. He scored a goal, so he naturally deserves a start in this game. And I believe also Pedro Neto, who was subbed off, is also good. And there is that thing where former players usually score against their former team. So going by that luck, I believe that Pedro Neto should be our starting player in that left wing position. Leading the line will be quite controversial, as McGeough played on Thursday. It's more likely that Nicholas Jackson will be selected. In my opinion, I'm very frustrated with how Jackson is missing chances, but in this game you understand that Enzo Maresca wants a bit more physicality, and because of the Victor Osimhen situation not quite solved, I believe that Jackson will be the one to lead the line. Before we even begin our tactical analysis, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel for more videos like this. Now, Wolves, since they will be They will move aggressively high to press Chelsea because they will be at home trying to force Chelsea to make mistakes in build-up. So Chelsea can use these two build-up strategies. Number one is by dropping their two centre-backs alongside their goalkeeper, because Chelsea want to draw Wolves to press them so that they can create space higher up. Chelsea can do this by having their front three to start high and wide, and once they do that, Wolves will have no choice but to drop their backline slightly deeper to try and mitigate the pace that Chelsea have in behind. They will also look to stretch their backline so that they can try to cover Chelsea's wingers and not allow them time and space on the ball. Now this will create spaces high up where players like Cole Palmer and Enzo Fernandez can push to occupy. Now when they push to occupy this, Chelsea will have numerical advantages high up, and in this game I prefer Marc Cucurella to start immediately by inverting in midfield. So if Wolves decide to press with a front four, then Chelsea can have natural numerical advantages over the front two pressing. If they choose to press with one player, then Chelsea can shift into a pseudo back four by Robert Sanchez acting as an extra centre back, looking to try and create that numerical overload against Wolves. And if Wolves decide to go man-to-man and try to press Chelsea in this fashion, then Chelsea should use their quick combination play with players such as Slavia creating perfect angles to receive the ball and look to spread the ball high up the pitch. But if Wolves become so aggressive and choose to actually stop Chelsea from building from the back immediately by pushing another extra midfielder, then it's up to Chelsea's two floating midfielders to pick up pockets in between the lines so that they can receive the ball directly from the goalkeeper and a centre back, and this can enable them to have numerical advantages high up the pitch by having that 5v4 against Wolves backline. Now against Arsenal, we realized that Wolves did not generally press aggressively high, and that is maybe because they were at the Emirates. And when Chelsea are in settled possession, they should ensure they have two wide players who are excellent dribblers. That's why I prefer Madueke and Pedro Neto to start in the wide areas, and allow creative players such as Fernandez and Palmer to play in those in between the line spaces. Now here is where Chelsea are going to have a problem, because they may decide to invert one fullback, and I don't think that it's going to be Cucurella who's inviting, because Maresca prefers Levi Colwill in that central centre-back position, in that sweeper position. And because he prefers Colwill there, most likely it's Gusto who's supposed to invert. But as I have told you before, teams have known how to stop this box-shaped midfield structure by playing with a narrow front four, in a narrow 4-4, and it's something that Wolves did. Now look at this structure that Wolves has against Arsenal. Now they have lined up in a 4-4. The problem with Wolves in this phase is that the distances between their front line and their defense line is so wide, so Arsenal managed to put a lot of players in between the lines and played through them. Now here again, now Wolves in this situation are very compact. You can see that front four, that narrow front four, looking to stifle and deny central progression by Arsenal. And because they're looking to deny that central progression by Arsenal, this is making it difficult for Wolves to actually progress. Now because Chelsea will be looking to try to play through the middle, this structure is going to create problems, because if Chelsea try to play their balls to the wide centre backs, they immediately get pressed to the wingers and they are forced back and they are actually forced to make mistakes. And because Wolves know that this is how Chelsea want to play, Chelsea should adapt the way Guardiola has looked to adapt to this narrow front four structure. Now one way Chelsea can look to adapt in this structure is not having Gusto in that midfield position, but rather having Gusto peel out, occupy more a wing back area, and having only Lavia in that midfield position. And in this case, Chelsea can have a midfield three just behind their front three that looks to be so wide and stretch the two double pivots ahead. Chelsea can also look to stretch their centre backs in wider positions so that they can look to try and create numerical overloads on either side of the pitch. Now in this case, the wide centre back, especially Cucurella, if he plays similar to a fullback, he will draw a winger into the wide areas, and Fernandez can drop also into the wide areas to receive the ball directly from Cucurella and look to actually find Pedro Neto in a position where Neto can actually look to create problems for Wolves. And Neto in this position should be ready to dribble, should be ready to cross the ball, should be ready to create problems for Chelsea. Looking to dribble past Doherty, who I believe cannot stop Neto in a 1v1 dribble, it will actually going to make Neto shine in this game. And having him and Noni Madueke in those wide areas, Chelsea will have deadly threats in those kinds of situations, allowing Chelsea to be able to manipulate the opposition. And even in this case, players like Noni Madueke receiving the ball in these positions actually open up space for the likes of Cole Palmer, and Cole Palmer can also look to receive a backward pass or allow Noni Madueke to actually run towards his opponents. If the fullback decides to stay touch tight on Noni Madueke, then it's up to Chelsea to try and have a way in which they can actually look to play a back four kind of system if Wolves decide to press with one player. And in this position, they can draw Wolves full wingers out wide, stretch Wolves in out of possession, and look to play those penetrative passes in midfield. Especially having Palmer in that number 10, you'll have a player who has positional freedom, is able to receive the ball with much more freedom, and look to try and maybe play passes in behind for Noni Madueke or Nicholas Jackson, or even have a chance to attempt a shot on goal. Now, in the game against Arsenal, I realized that Arsenal managed to create a side overload against Wolves and look to try and play a crossfield pass towards the far post area, where they will look to try and overload the far post. So Wolves are very, very weak in the far post, and that is how Arsenal managed to score their first goal by Kai Havertz. Saka in this position can notice that there is a huge overload in the far post and looks to have those in-swingers. So this is a position where I expect Cole Palmer to be looking to pick up the ball, and Pedro Neto and Enzo Fernandez should be looking to attack that far post area. Last season, Chelsea lost 2-1, and in this 2-1 scoreline, it is actually the scoreline where Raheem Sterling fails to pass the ball to Palmer, when that could actually put Chelsea 1-0 up. Maybe the scoreline will be different. But because Sterling fails to pass that ball, Chelsea failed to capitalize on their chances and Wolves punished them. And that is how Wolves managed to beat Chelsea last season. I watched that game. So probably if Sterling was much more made a better decision, maybe Chelsea would have got something in that game. A lot of people will ask me, what about Christopher Nkunku? I don't believe that he should actually start this game, because him starting this game is actually denying Palmer the chance to play his favorite position. And I want Palmer, being one of the most important players in the team, to actually play in a position that suits him. Another question will be, what about Joao Felix? Joao Felix, Enzo Maresca said he's yet to learn the Chelsea way, but he can come in as a sub and actually look to take maybe the position of Fernandez, or maybe look to give Palmer some rest. And we also don't know if Palmer is injury free. If Palmer is not injured, then Palmer can play that game. But I am hoping to see Joao Felix in that game. Hopefully he can come in and give an assist or attempt to give us a goal. So if you've enjoyed this analysis, do not forget to like, share and subscribe, and thanks for watching.